Doom Nation, it's Scagz here, and I'm joined again by my fellow cinephile, Shayne.
Hello.
And we're going to be bringing you another Doom review of Marvel Studios' Loki, Episode 3, Lamentis.
So excited.
Yes, definitely. This one was a little bit shorter than the other two. The other two were like 50-something minutes.
Yeah.
Almost an hour. This was like 42.
The episode ended, and I was like, wait, hold on. Did I, for a second there, I thought I, missed something. And then I was like, I rewinded. And I was like, no, the episode is over.
Yeah, definitely very short.
I think it's just because of how it ended.
Yeah.
They would have had to make it that short. Otherwise, it's going to
They left it on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But before we begin, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, especially if you're listening on our audio platforms. Get onto our YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave us a review, too, if you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. It helps with the algorithm, helps our show. And don't forget to also follow us on Instagram at 2DoomMen_podcast and Twitter at MenDoomed. The easiest way to find 2 Doom Men podcast is at linktree.com/2DoomMen. So, all right, let's get started. I want to give kind of a breakdown of the episode, and then we'll comment on it and stuff.
Sounds good.
So, the episode starts off with a small flashback scene of the variant, who we've kind of said maybe is like Lady Loki, and the TVA agent in a bar. And they're drinking margaritas in the scene. The variant seems to be probing the TVA agent's mind for the location and defenses around the timekeepers. Where we find out to get to them, you need to take that golden elevator that we saw in episode 1. And I remember that elevator, and I was like, this is an interesting, trying to figure out what the letters on each floor meant.
I don't even think I noticed that.
Yeah. That was in episode 1, and it's been in the credits afterwards.
Okay.
So I was wondering, this elevator is definitely odd. So I mean, according to the
leading to the timekeepers.
Yeah.
I still don't know what I believe.
Okay. Yeah. Me too. So that's the first scene, right? And then the episode picks up right where it left off, with Loki following the variant through that time door. I'm trying to get the words now down. It's like time door, time pad, right?
It's a tem pad.
Tem pad.
I keep my captions on. It's a tem
pad. Okay. Loki follows her through the door, and they both end up back in the TVA, headed towards that elevator. They scuffle, and eventually they're confronted by Ravonna Renslayer, who definitely seems to be some sort of gatekeeper of.
She's the head of the TVA. Right under the timekeepers, I think.
Right, and as soon as they get to the elevator that leads to the timekeepers,
she was
bam,
like, nah.
She shows up.
Yeah, she knew that's exactly where they were going.
Yeah, so she's mad sus. And then Loki just uses the time door again and brings them into a future apocalypse event on the moon Lamentis 1 in 2077. What'd you think of this whole? This was very you. It was purpley and colorful and.
When they landed there, I was just a little confused as to where they were at first. I was like, where did they jump? Because Loki just kind of hit a button and they went wherever. But she knew where they went.
Yeah, she was familiar with Lamentis.
I think
1.
she
said it was the worst apocalypse.
She said
of
it's
all
an
of them.
apocalypse, so I think she has knowledge of every apocalypse ever,
Right.
and she immediately knew where they went, whereas he just knows the apocalypses they needed to go to.
Right. I think she made a comment also about how he blew up her plan that she's been working on for years and years and years.
Well, they've been chasing her forever.
Right. Right. Who knows how long this has been going on for? So
obviously it had to be going on a while because with the last episode when all those time pod thingies.
Yeah, the little
there was a whole bunch of them. So she's been doing this for a long time in order to collect all of those to trigger what she triggered in the last episode.
Yeah,
not
definitely.
this week, but last week.
Definitely. So she definitely has knowledge of almost every apocalypse event. I'd
I think
say
she
probably
had
been using
to
them all.
ensure that she would be able to do what she needed to.
Yeah, she seems very familiar with it. So a question I had about Lamentis 1 is this an Earth human colony in the future? Or is because everyone is human, right? Or
I think it
humanoid,
could
sort
just be
of,
another planet
I
like
guess, with,
Asgard.
yeah,
It's
with
just
humans
people.
on it. Yeah, I was wondering about
Like
that.
Asgard's a little bit more medieval. Lamentis was a little bit more futuristic.
Right,
Like they
right.
gave it kind of reminded me of like Japan.
Kind of.
That's what it
Yeah,
looked
I
like.
guess you could say. Yeah, spoiler warning, by the way. But we won't be, I won't be researching or using any spoilers from source material, as I've said before. So
I
I'm sure
I avoided
Lamentis,
Twitter.
yeah, I'm sure Lamentis is in there, the comic book somewhere. But I'm just interested to know about the planet because it seems like they're just humans, right?
I
And it
think
is in the
it's
future. It's
yeah, it is
2077,
2077, but I think it is just,
another
another
alien world.
planet.
Right.
There's billions of planets. Like
Yeah, the
the
Marvel
entire Guardians of the
universe.
Galaxy takes place in space, and there's just people
Right.
living on different planets. Granted, some of them look more alien-esque than this one, but I think it could just be,
Yeah, the Marvel universe has a lot of planets with like humanoids on them.
yeah,
They're not Earthlings, but they're humans. Yeah, I guess you
yeah.
could say the Asgardians are the same thing. So Loki and the variant, they agree to work together to recharge the time pad. 'Cause after they land, it's not working anymore. Runs out of juice. And they need to escape this apocalypse event, like the moon on this planet. Well, the planet is a moon, and there's some other moon like
So
crashing into it.
it's, I think Lamentis is a planet, and there is a moon crashing into it.
Right.
And basically their goal is we need to get to this train to get to an arc so
Right.
we can escape. But the train, it's one of those situations of like the rich go first.
Yes. It's something that would probably it's very realistic because that's probably exactly what would
Basically
happen.
the Titanic.
Yeah, or Jeff Bezos would be the first one on his ship
Yeah.
into space, something
Save
like that.
Amazon.
Yes, exactly. And I thought on this train we actually got some good character building scene or a good character building scene between the two of them, like at the bar in this restaurant, because they just went from like him chasing her to them fighting
Well,
to
now
them to
they need each other in order to survive right
right,
now.
and we also got like to dive into her and even to get to find
Her
out like
power a little bit.
right.
So she's Sylvie. The one thing I'm questioning is she a Loki variant because it hasn't been specified, and in certain things that they are saying, because he was like, "Oh, you're me," and she was like, "He's like, you're just another Loki," and she's like, "Don't call me that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
Sylvie." Like he was like, "Oh, so you changed your name?" She's like, "It's called an alias." But anytime he references that she is him, she's like, "No."
Yeah, she seems
But
to
she's
be
also like, "Yes."
right. I think she's more of shunned from her past or something like that. Maybe like she is a Loki, maybe.
But this is one of the speculations that
Yeah.
she's not Loki. She's the Enchantress.
Yeah. I've
I,
heard
I
of
don't
that
know too
too.
much in
She
terms of
does
that
literally
Enchantress,
enchant people.
but it could go either way because he was like, "Yeah, my mom taught me magic," and she's like, "Yeah, I learned magic too."
Right.
But she is just if she is another Loki, then yeah, he is just a power he never learned. He learned how to make fireworks.
Maybe going back to the causal time loop theory, maybe the reason why the TVA thinks it's a Loki variant has to do with Loki tricking them or something like that.
Well,
Maybe she really isn't a Loki variant. She is who she is, and
I mean, it could go either way because they did show in the last episode that he has many forms in every single. Like they showed all the
yeah,
different
different.
variations of him. They even showed him as a frost giant himself, which I thought was really cool because I'm
Yeah,
like, that's literally what he is, and you never see him be
and
a
that
frost
anymore.
giant since he was like a fetus.
Yeah, since like the first Thor movie, I believe it
Yeah.
was. Yeah,
So I'm believing that it is, Lady Loki because she does exist within the Marvel universe. Maybe not MCU yet, maybe. But I do think that is what it is, and that's why they're chasing
they're
it
leaving it
because they're
vague.
using Loki. They definitely leaving it vague. It's probably gonna be something we won't even find out by the end of the show, because that's how Marvel goes. To keep you watching, but I believe it is. I know people are saying no, it's the Enchantress, and like yeah, it's possible, but I don't think that's what it is.
All right, we'll see. So yeah, they're in this bar, and like we are saying, we get this good character building scene between the two of them because we haven't really like slowed down to talk with her at all. They're trading stories about their mother, right, and love. And the love scene or the talking about love kind of stuck out to me because it reminded me of WandaVision. Spoiler warning for that. And Loki was trying to come up with a quote about love,
Love is like a dagger,
right,
but it's also not real.
right. He was trying, right. It didn't work, and it reminded me. It reminded me of Vision's great quote about love, where the Vision in WandaVision said, "What is grief if not love persevering?" And it seems to be some sort of theme in these Disney Plus shows, like the whole love aspect or whatever's going on. And I'm trying to think of, like, let's just keep that in mind going
Well,
forward. Something,
looking at the very first episode, he sees that his brother loved him, his father loved him, and now they're all gone. So love for him would be grief
for Loki.
for Loki.
Yeah,
So it does circle back to that. I didn't even think of
it
that
does.
until
Yeah,
now, but it does make sense. But he's also this is also 2012 Loki who does not really understand what love is. Yeah, he's been with girls, he's been with guys. They made that little nod
yeah,
to that,
that's fine.
and I was like, okay, cool. But I don't think he's ever loved or felt like he
A
was
relationship.
loved.
Yes, I agree. He's definitely, and that definitely has to do with his whole personality and maybe way of thinking.
Like, I think obviously he loved his mother because he made a
Yeah,
whole thing about his mom, and then when he found out that he's the reason she died, which he didn't even know she died yet.
right.
I think for him, he doesn't really understand what love is, so it was hard for him to like make that up, and he was trying.
I see. Right. He hasn't experienced that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you got to remember that we're dealing with earlier version of Loki.
Yeah.
That doesn't, everything we've
Doesn't know
seen
anything.
Loki go
He
through.
he knows that in the future everybody loves him, but the Loki
Yeah.
that we are currently watching doesn't know what that feels like.
Right. He didn't get through that character
That
development
yeah,
yet.
that arc hasn't happened.
So then a scene I enjoyed, Loki gets drunk.
Loved it.
And because of his drunk antics, which he is the god of
He was
mischief.
full. He wasn't
was
drunk. He was
full.
full.
He is the god of mischief after all. He gets discovered by security. A scuffle ensues, and they're both thrown out the window of the train, or I think Sylvie maybe jumps out after him. And while this happens, a time pad, or what is it called again?
Tempad.
The tempad, sorry, is destroyed. So now they decide they have to work together to hijack the Ark ship and escape the moon before it is destroyed, which is interesting because obviously that's the only way that they could survive, but they would be stranded, right, in
Because
2077.
she knows that's what happens is the arc gets
Right.
destroyed. So she's like, "Shit, we gotta get there
Right.
now."
And yeah, right. Loki makes a point of like, well, they never had us before
Yeah.
in this apocalypse.
But what I noticed when they were trying to go, I don't know the extent of Loki's powers, like what he can and can't do, but it seems to be he only uses it in certain moments.
Sparingly.
Yeah, he's like, I'm sure he could have freaking like zapped themselves into there or something. Like I said, I really don't
teleport,
know.
kind
Yeah,
of?
because at one point they're like running, something's falling, and he just like stops it, like freezes, and I'm like,
Right. He
you're
almost
telling me you couldn't have done that this entire time
Yes.
with everybody or
Right.
everything?
Yeah. Or
Plot hole.
maybe. There could be more to it also. He is the god of mischief again.
Yeah.
He could be holding back his powers. And, after this, they go on this long walk to get to the Ark, and he's trying to probe her about how does she
How does she enchant people?
enchant people. He's trying to learn, right? Because he's the god of mischief, and he probably wants that power for himself so he could
He's mastered the like
illusionary aspect, right?
like doubling
projecting.
thing, but he doesn't know that. But it could be, every variant has their different strengths.
Yeah, could be, and I could see Loki wanting to gain all the strengths of all of them, right? So he probably wants
for
to absorb
sure.
this power or learn it.
And another similarity between the two of them is they always have some kind of knife on them.
Yes,
That is something I noticed.
Yeah.
He's whipping out his two daggers, and
two
she just
daggers,
got the
the
like
sword.
one little sword thing. So I'm like, I this still goes with my theory that she is Lady Loki. She is Loki.
Yeah, like everything about them is somewhat similar
Yeah.
in a way.
She even got the horns, man. You can't tell me
Yeah,
that's
she
not-
broke one, which was odd. Like one of them broke.
She like threw the headband.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So they decide they're going to walk to the town where the Ark ship is, and here we have a super important scene, probably the most important scene in the entire episode, in my opinion, at least. And I'm actually going to play the scene in a minute.
Okay, fine. You want to know how enchantment works? I have to make physical contact and then grab hold of their mind.
How?
Depends on the mind. Most are easy and I can overtake them instantly. Others, the stronger ones, it gets tricky. I'm in control, but they're there too. In order to preserve the connection, I have to create a fantasy from their memories.
And you call me a magician?
That young soldier from the TVA, her mind was messed up, everything clouded. I had to pull a memory from hundreds of years prior, before she even fought for them.
What? What did you say? Before she joined the TVA?
Yeah, she was just a regular person on Earth.
A regular person?
Loved margaritas.
I was told that everyone who works at the TVA was created by the Timekeepers.
That's ridiculous. They're all variants, just like us.
They don't know that.
While they're walking and they're talking about how Syl, her enchantment powers work, she tells Loki about the TVA agent that she had captured that we saw in the beginning opening episode of the show, and how Syl manipulated her mind by using her memories, and her memories being of Earth hundreds of years prior. And Syl tells Loki that the TVA agents are all variants. Loki, with his inside knowledge of the TVA, realizes the agents are all being lied to, basically to prop up the TVA. So like our suspicions are being sort of somewhat confirmed. And I thought this was super interesting around the mystery of the TVA, especially because we have now learned that the TVA is definitely located at some point in the future from Earth.
Yeah, especially with this TVA agent. I'm pretty sure hundreds of years ago, bars with margaritas were not a thing.
That's the way,
so that was throwing me off because he was like, hundreds of years ago. I'm like, okay.
Yes.
So
if the way I'm looking at it, if that scene was hundreds of years ago on Earth, it looked like it was 80s, 90s, maybe something like that. Maybe. The Marvel universe is in, I believe, 2025 right now. That's where after Infinity War.
Infinity War was 2019.
But I'm saying like where
But
the
I'm saying 2019 was when. Yeah. Okay. So
without a doubt, the TVA has to be located. Like the TVA is physically located in the future somewhere.
Endgame takes place is 2023.
Right, something like that. But I'm just saying, just for a reference point of like, where is the TVA? Like the facility is in the future somewhere.
Oh yeah. So
it's not some sort of it's not outside of the timeline or something like that.
No,
the whole thing is unraveling.
In the timeline. Yeah. So
I believe in episode 1.
It makes sense that it takes place in the future, that the TVA itself is located in the future, because that's how they're able to go into the past and stuff. So they're able to acknowledge things that are supposed to happen at those points and things that aren't supposed to happen at those points. Granted, they know all the time. So who knows, but Rovina is probably definitely part of that.
And Loki has made a couple comments throughout the first 3 episodes about like I remember he was like, we are from the future, right? So they are leaning towards the TVA is definitely from the future or in the future.
I think it is crazy to realize that, all those agents don't realize that, they don't exist, they never exist, that they existed outside of this agency.
Right. It is crazy. They're all variants. They're brainwashed. Like they're in some sort of cult. They're
so if
brainwashed.
Anything, that's probably what would have happened with Loki. If he stayed around, they probably would have brainwashed him and used him, and he's magical, so they could use him to their full advantage.
That also goes back to the second episode, Mobius's jet ski. That's why he's so obsessed with the jet ski, because it's definitely some sort of remnant of his mind. So he's definitely from the 90s. This scene of the margaritas looks like it's in the 80s and the 90s. So maybe something happened in the 80s or the 90s, and that's where they grabbed all these people from, some event.
Maybe it's just somebody broke the timeline and they decided to take them.
Yeah, in the 90s maybe, and that's where all the variants came from. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
I wouldn't say it's all of them, but definitely like certain ones, like the one agent that, Sylvie took, Mobius himself is taken from there. I don't know what the other lady's name is, the one that like Sylvie ended up possessing that took Loki into the Walmart type area.
The Minuteman, like the leader of the Minuteman.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Like she may be from something else.
Right.
But I don't know. But it is kind of crazy to think that,
Yeah. It's a scam.
They're all
the TVA is some sort of scam.
Maybe it's Miss Minutes. She's controlling everybody.
Maybe.
I have that weird theory that Miss Minutes is
the little
more
clock.
alive than we think she is.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe she's evil. It would be a great evil character. This little tiny happy-go-lucky clock. being like the evil villain of the whole thing. That would be pretty awesome. So we get to the end of the episode here. Loki and Syl, they arrive at the town where the Ark ship is located, and they attempt to gain entry. And in this scene, we get some great tracking camera work. I had to say,
Like just following them.
The shot is like them fighting, running, buildings falling, going through things, and the camera's following them. Fantastic camera work. Was a little short and no dialogue really in this ending scene.
I think it's just to keep you like on
On
your
edge
feet
of your
to be
seat.
like, are they gonna make it?
Yeah.
I think what threw me off though is like, why are all these like security police type people, like why are you like fighting with them? Like it's two people.
Right.
Why are you trying so hard to stop these two people when you have this entire city that's trying to get there?
Get into the Ark ship.
Why is it such a big deal to stop
these two?
them? Like what do they know?
Right.
Do they know
Maybe.
anything?
Or is it just
They're just like, oh, these people look a little harder to stop, so we need to stop them.
yeah, maybe they knew, or maybe they're just the people that got off the train, right? Because the train kept going to the town.
It's
Maybe
true.
they're the.
But
I think
they had different uniforms.
did they? Some of them were security guard. Those
Well,
same
the
security.
security on the train had black uniforms. The security in that city were like blue. It was like some
Yeah.
weird like
All right.
alien type looking things.
I'll have to rewatch
So I don't
it
know
again,
if
but-
it's like if they're connected, like they were warned by the train people, but
Mm-hmm.
who knows?
And
We'll find out.
they finally get to the base, I guess you could say, of the Ark ship, and it is destroyed.
Yep.
And it ends the episode on a cliffhanger of Loki standing there looking defeated, and Sylvie just walks away. And that's it. The episode ends very abruptly.
I was so upset. I was like,
Yes.
no.
And there's no
And
after
no end
credit
credit
scene
scene.
still for all 3 episodes. So
I've
far.
noticed with every single Marvel show so far, there is never an end scene until at least the second to last episode. I
so-
fast forward through the credit. Like I sit there on my phone and I go like this until like I can see if anything pops up within the credits, but nothing ever does. But I think that's a trend within these shows that there's never an end credit scene until at least the second to last
Okay,
episode.
we'll have to prove your theory correct when we get to there.
It's been proven with the
only-
last 2 shows.
Oh no, we'll see. We only got 2 more episodes until that. So all right, that's the end of the episode. What do you want to rate, like 1 to 10? What do you think of this episode?
I'm gonna give it an 8 because it's short. I do like, we got a little bit more into who Sylvie is, a little bit more. We got more into, TVA agents themselves, which I was curious about because, Mobius is convinced that, we're created here. Yeah, they just created a bunch of random people. Yeah, I'll give it like an 8.
Okay.
I think it's just because it was too short.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7. Main criticism is definitely way too short. Second criticism is that Mobius and the rest of the gang were not in the episode at all.
I didn't even notice that they weren't in the episode, but I think it's just because I'm so focused.
And
It made sense to me that they weren't in this
Yeah.
episode. It was mostly to focus on where they went after
Right.
the second episode.
so it was good. 7 is good for me. But it's a 7 because it was short. And my concern now, as my concern throughout these Marvel Disney series, especially with Falcon Winter Soldier, is that it's only 6 episodes, and it took us 3 to even get to know the villain, the
variant
villain or the variant is, right? And we only just barely scratched the surface with her. Mobius wasn't in this episode, so we only barely scratched the surface with him. There's only 3 more episodes to go. And I'm now scared that we're going to have the same problem that the Captain Winter Soldier had, where the main character, Loki, is going to flesh out his entire story, but you're going to be disappointed when it comes to all these other characters that they introduce. They're going to have to do some late stage turnaround that makes no sense because there wasn't enough episodes to tell their stories or something like
Yeah,
that.
but I think with this show specifically, it's going to go straight into Doctor Strange and Multiverse. Because remember, last episode, this timeline is blown up completely.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm convinced it's going to affect whatever Doctor Strange
Maybe,
has to do
yeah,
in the next
definitely,
movie.
definitely.
Like, this, I feel this one is linking directly to WandaVision more so than Captain America.
Yes, that stuff.
Falcon Winter Soldier did. Falcon Winter Soldier, I feel like, was its whole own separate
Yeah,
story.
grounded more in
Had
reality. Too, than
absolutely
magical
nothing to do
stuff.
with these two. There's no magic with them. They're just 2 men, and one has a mechanical arm and the other one flies.
Right.
Like, there's no
Yeah.
magic compared to WandaVision and Loki. Like, those are 2
Right.
super beings.
Was WandaVision was 10 episodes or was it 8?
I think it was 8.
I just don't like 6 episodes as a thing.
I don't know why they do this.
Yeah, it's not a good idea. You're kind of selling yourself short. You're going to tell a story. You need at least 10 hours of time for a television
And
show.
then they're not
with
even
multiple
long
characters.
episodes.
Right, exactly.
And I think that's
my concern.
That's my issue is, all right, fine. You want to limit the episodes, make them longer.
Yeah.
Or, do more episodes, make them shorter.
Right.
But don't cut yourself short when you don't really need to. I couldn't remember where I had to think for a second.
Yeah, so that's my one concern. We'll see as the episodes go on. We'll be reviewing all of the episodes. Do you want to add anything else about episode 3? Theories? Where do we go from here? What's going to happen? How are they going to get off the...
I think Mobius is going to find them.
Yeah, that's what I think's going to happen too.
Obviously, the show's not over.
Right.
I think Mobius is going to find them and just pull them back in. Like they're not even going to have a chance to fight, but there's really nothing to fight. It's either they fight, it's either they go or they die.
Right. I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
I think it's going to go straight into that. And my theory is it's Miss Minutes. It's all her.
All right, Miss Minutes. I like it, but I agree. I think the next episode will probably start off with a time door opening. Mobius is here to save the day.
Just gonna go,
grabs them, and now the next episode will deal with the both of them being locked up in the TVA again, and we'll start getting into the end game of the show.
I feel like Ravina's gonna go in and be like, "Yep, prune them."
Yeah, we'll see.
Not even give them a chance.
All right.
But Mobius is gonna fight for them.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because the internet is convinced Mobius is in love with Loki.
With Loki.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he's in love with Ravina.
That would make the most sense, but Twitter.
The Twitterverse.
Everybody wants Loki to be gay.
Yeah, that's fine. He swings all kinds of ways. That we learned.
He does not care.
Yeah. Hey, that sounds like Loki to me. So, all right, that's our Doom review. Don't forget to check out our podcast at 2 Doom Men, linktree.com/2 Doom Men. We'll be here for the rest of the episodes of Loki, so don't forget to check them out. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.